Hi, my name is Steve, and I'm going to show you how to take that Reference USA list that you exported out of Reference USA to be able to build a meaningful playbook. And so the idea here is that if you look at this information when it comes in straight out of Reference USA, it's just a lot of information, really a lot of information that you don't need. So what I do is I usually go through here and I either change the names so that they're more meaningful. In this example, if you notice, this is basically all of the industries, right? So I would change this to say industries, right? Or industry. Things like that sorted out, delete things that don't make sense like primary SIC code, these things that don't really mean anything to you for the purpose of prospecting. And when you go through and you delete all the stuff that doesn't really mean anything, you end up having more of a list that looks like this. So what I did was I went through and deleted all those columns that didn't make any sense, and I renamed them. You'll notice that there's this annual revenue here is this one column. This used to be the local sales volume range, right? And what I basically did is just renamed it annual revenue because that's basically what it is. And I just took the middle of the road number. So, you know, if it's 5 to 10 million, I did it right here. I just said, well, their revenue is on average going to be about $7.5 million. And so when you go back to this here, this completed example that I have, you know, $7.5 million, that tells you their total sales. And from their total sales, you can figure out roughly what their ad budget is. And so for this example, what I did, and this is what I did when I was prospecting, was I said, okay, if their total revenue is $7.5 million, roughly 3% of that, that's a very conservative number, by the way, very conservative. Would that 3% would represent their total ad budget. Now, in a perfect world, we get 100% of that ad budget. But to be realistic and also to be strategic, I think it would make sense to say we're not going to get that. So I say you take their total annual revenue, you times it by 0.03, which is their total ad budget. I put those in parentheses and then I just times it by 30%. So that basically is saying that of their total revenue, the $7.5 million, 3% of it is their total ad budget, and I believe that we can get about 30% of it. I do that across the board just to keep things simple. So $67,500 would basically be a reasonable estimate for what we think we could capture for a budget for this client. And once you've done this formula, you can just apply it down the whole column. Now the idea here is that when you're being deliberate and you're building your business, you can then decide what types of accounts you want to add. And what's really cool about this is once you've done it, once it's up here, you can easily find prospects that are meaningful to you, industries that make sense to you, that you like, to then pick accounts based on the revenue to help you hit your goal. So if your goal is $450,000, I usually put this off to the side. I build out how I want to reach that $450,000 based on, you know, the amount of budget I get from the client. So for this example, I just said anything that's 80 and above, anything that's $30,000 to $80,000, anything that's $50,000 to $30,000. And so I've decided that I want 2 accounts to be 80 and above, I want 4 accounts to be 30 to 80, and I want 6 accounts to be 15 to 13. You know, so as you make progress and as you build your list, this can kind of be a guide for you. You know, you don't want to be too heavy in whales, because what will end up happening is you'll have a very volatile list. If one whale cancels, you could easily go from 450 to 380, and now you're left scrambling. So the idea here is to have diversity. So once we've built this list and once we've actually got these budgets here, we can then do a data sort to sort this information. So you just basically, you know, for those of you that have never done that, you can just copy everything and then go to data and sort it. And then you can sort it by annual revenue, smallest to largest or largest to smallest, whatever you want. And then, actually not annual revenue, I'm sorry, my budget. And so now I can then see if I need a whale, okay, I want to start at the top of the list. If I need something less, I go down to the bottom of the list. This example doesn't have too many small numbers here, but you know, that's just how you build your list. That's when you're picking your accounts or whatever, you'll start to get that pulled together. So really the idea here is to, how can we sort this information to make it meaningful? How can we then pick our accounts based on revenue to decide what makes sense? And you've picked these accounts based on industries that interest you, based on industries that you think you can help, industries that you see are growing. And so it really does is just focuses you right into being able to hit your number by not wasting your time spending time with people that won't let you hit your number. The second part to this is going to be earning the right to call, and that'll be a separate video in which we'll talk about, you know, the things that you want to know when it comes down to vetting this list. So things that, as you're doing your research, you know, who you should target in on, and also things that you should know before you try to call one of these people to be able to land a better appointment. So that's to come, and we'll talk more about that soon.